For the last several weeks, you've heard members of our church family speak about the truth that we are God's church, and the meaning behind each of those four words. So if we're God's church, what are we going to do about it? How do we make sure that our actions as a church and as individuals reflect this truth in the days and years to come? The answer is three more simple words, and they are pray, pledge, and participate. Without doing all three, we cannot be the disciples that Christ wants us to be, or the church that God requires us to be. Take a look at the puzzle on the back of the 3 P's insert in your bulletin. The time has come to reveal what it means, and you probably have already figured it out. But it stands for, in 2015, I will pray for Jarvis, pledge to Jarvis, and participate in Jarvis, and do all 3 things 10% more than I did last year. Can you imagine the joy and the good that will come from each of us doing those 3 things, and doing them 10% more than we did last year? Our church will be filled with the Holy Spirit like never before. Today, I've been asked to speak to you about the first P, which is prayer, and how important it is in the life of our church and in our individual lives. As Christians, we are called to lead a lifestyle of prayer. Prayer truly is a privilege for each of us. Prayer puts us in relationship with God so that we may determine the will not only for ourselves, but for others and on their behalf. In 1 Timothy 2:12 it says, "First of all then, I urge that entreaties, prayers, petitions, and thanksgiving be given on behalf of all men, for kings, and all who are in authority, in order that we may lead a tranquil and quiet life in all godliness and dignity." What would happen to us as individuals, to Jarvis as God's church, and to our community if we each increased our prayer time by just 10%? Jesus admonishes each of us to pray. In Luke 18:1, Luke says, "Then he spoke a parable to them that men ought always to pray and not to lose heart." In 1 Thessalonians 5:16 and 17, it says in 17, we should pray without ceasing. To persist in prayer does not mean endless repetitions of the same thing over and over again. But we come to God in humility, realizing that He is sovereign, and that whatever we say to Him, He understands. Even if we don't quite know what to say, He understands. Jesus spoke a parable also in Luke 18, and He talks to those who are around Him who think that they are better than others and that they have arrived, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And he tells the story of one who goes to the temple and he says, "I'm not like these, like other men. I'm not an extortioner, I'm not unjust, I'm not an adulterer, even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week, I give tithes and all that I possess." But the tax collector, he stood far off. He couldn't even raise his eyes to heaven. He beat his breast and said, "God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Jesus said, "I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." Prayer does not require that theological discourse. It just requires a desire to talk to and be in the presence of God. It is a blessing that because of what Jesus did on the cross for us, that in Hebrews 4:16 it tells us, "Seeing that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. But let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find tells us we need to pray. We must pray, for he prayed. But he also talks about the benefits of prayer. Throughout the Bible, from the Old to the New Testament, we see and read prayers. And one of the best places if you are saying, I want to increase my prayers, go to the Psalms. For many times I've gone to find the answers that I need for my life, and I have prayed those prayers. And I am a witness that God will and he does answer prayer. Maybe not in the way that we want and in our timing, but he does answer them. In the Old Testament, I read a scripture, and it's Chronicles 7:14. And even though it was in the Old Testament, and it was God speaking to Solomon, I believe that it is for us today. And then the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I've heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up heaven and there is no rain, or command the locusts to devour the land, or send pestilence among my people, God said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayer made in this place. Our land needs to be healed. Jarvis needs to be healed. Our individual hearts need to be healed. Our community needs to be healed. And our nation needs to be healed. And it can start right here at Jarvis Memorial United Methodist Church as we pledge and make a determination to pray even more individually and for each other. In the Hall of History today, you will find a banner that we are asking every person or family to sign once you can commit to the 3 Ps for 2015. We are God's church. Any church can say that, but we must want to live that. Praying is the first part of living